might have to take notes on this bitch. Famous and Wealthy Podcast, man. Today we got funded by Top Notch, man. In the building, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Man, Kevo, thank you for having me. I'm just a small Georgetown, South Carolina girl. Yeah. I grew up in Georgetown, South Carolina. Went to the military, went in the Air Force, did 8 years in the military. Wow. Came back out, became a correction officer out in New York City. So,
how was that in New York City?
Hey, man, if you could sit in there and, be around murderers, drug dealers, and killers, yeah. I mean, you could do anything, right? For sure. Everybody that I worked with in those facilities had a lot of respect for me. I worked in high classification, where, that's where the real bosses were. Exactly. People have this misconception that just because you went to jail, you broke or whatever. Yeah. Man, I done seen the bosses of the bosses in there, So I've got to experience that, and they protected me and they made sure that I was good. So, a great experience overall. But I just hated working for somebody's job. Right.
So what made you get into credit repair and stuff like that, and funding and,
So crazy story. I kind of just always felt like I wasn't supposed to work for anyone. Right. I grew up. I was adopted when I was young. I grew up in a small town, and I never admired any of the people that I grew up watching. Right. I never saw real success or real wealth. And so for me, it was just like, hey, I want more than that. Yeah. So when I got out the military, we get the bag. You get the bag if you know what to do with it, right? Right. And I turned that from, I went to college. Right. I also was getting 100% disability from the military. And then at the same time, I was kind of doing my own little hustles on the side. So back in, 2003, 2004, I'm making $10,000-$15,000 a month, which is a lot of money. Yeah. But that just made me want more. And a lot of people that I knew, my mom and those had never seen real money. Yeah. They didn't understand credit. They didn't understand any of those things. So it kind of took me a long time to kind of figure out where I was going. But that's kind of where I started, with just knowing that I didn't want to have the lifestyle that I see my parents have. Yeah. And I wanted to show my siblings and the people around me how to be, in a different space. So I started looking at things differently.
So, did you grow up actually watching the internet? Did you watch mentors? Did you sit on YouTube? How did you really, what made you motivated? What gave you motivation in a small city?
So I played basketball in high school. So basketball was my thing. That's what kind of made me motivated. But the motivation and all was getting away from the small city and getting to where you had the people that you could look at and say, hey, that's the lifestyle I want. They have the things I want. So I got out the military. I went to Texas. I love Texas because it's kind of like big city. Yeah. So Texas got that energy. Then when I got out the military, I went back to New York City. So New York City, and you can make money there anyway, right? You got so many ways. You got so many examples of success that, going back home to that small town, Georgetown, I love Georgetown. But going back home, I wanted them to see me as a pillar, someone they could actually come to as a resource. So I wanted to create that space. So that was the motivation for me.
Right. What's the real story behind funded by Top Notch Services?
So Top Notch Services is just, I'm just a small young girl from that small town that came back and said, hey, let me build up my credit. Let me figure out how to get my stuff together. Because I had money, or more money than, the average person, but I didn't know what to do with it. I mean, I had bad credit. And I remember when I first met my husband, he's talking to me about credit. He's like, what's your credit looking like? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't like getting a no. I didn't want nobody to tell me no. So I didn't go check. I didn't go ask for no car. I didn't go try to get the new phone. I just paid cash for stuff. Right. And after doing that for a while, I started realizing it's just not the way to go. So I started working on my own credit. So being in the military, I had access to like the Navy Federals and those types of banks. And that was the first place I started. They gave me like a secure credit card. I took that secure credit card and I paid it down and I used it every month and I kept paying it down. And that eventually turned into me getting like probably like $20,000. They changed it from secure to a regular credit card. And now that credit card is $30,000. So, you know, that was my first starting point. And I started with me, and I started fixing my stuff, and I started fixing my family stuff, and it just kind of like, you know, catapulted from there.
Right. What's the biggest myth behind business credit?
So the biggest myth is just that, you know, if you got like a 700 credit score, you can get anything. Right. You know, a lot of people are not educated on just like how the credit profile is set up. So just having a 700 credit score, anybody, my 18-year-old son has a 700 credit score, right? But he doesn't necessarily have the history that's necessary and the things that banks look for. So that's the difference between getting a $500 credit card and a $50,000 credit card, is having a proper profile. So that's a big myth, a big misconception.
So who is your typical client?
So my typical client could be anywhere from someone who has no credit, you know, decent credit, you know, has a business. Like I have a lot of different clients. Yeah. Most of my clients come to me for funding, but then they need credit repair. You know, I also have business owners that just don't understand how it works, how to get full funding. They're using their cash, and we're taking those clients and turning them into where they have that actual funding. They actually have that money.
Yeah. What's the most you think you didn't get your clients funded as far as money wise?
On average, anywhere between 150 to about 300,000.
Oh, that's good. How many people in your program currently?
Clients or
mentees?
In my mentee program, I have about 80 students.
Oh, okay. What do you charge usually for your program?
So my program is $5,000. That's just literally me teaching you step by step, and that price is going up because we're really getting a lot bigger, and we're starting to like get to that point to where our team is growing. My mentees, they become my partners, my business partners. I think it's imperative that if you could teach somebody how to do anything small, and then you can turn that into something big, those people want to grow with you. So, they become my business partners. We invest in real estate and different things together. So that's how I love to run my mentorship program.
So in your mentorship program, out of the 80 people that paid you all that money, is it mostly women? Because I noticed that women like to work with women more.
Crazy. I have more male mentees than I do female mentees.
Ain't that crazy though? That is it me, or is it like, it's just a lot of males just want to get successful? Like for instance, with me, I got mostly male guys who pay me, but when the females it's time to pay, they be like, I don't like, they don't really believe in themselves, the women.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's true. It's the females that play the most. I mean, and like a lot of it is just they're going to second guess because females are thinking emotionally 90% of the time. So when they think about the money, they think about, I got to take that from the kids. I got to do this. One thing about me is, I definitely don't play about, my growth and my development. I'm going to invest. I believe in me. So that's the main thing. Like that I know I can make that money back. Yeah. That's what I run with every time. So I move like a male in that aspect. So most of the dudes, when they come to me, they ain't even really, I don't have people literally have to fight with their wives about the fact that they invested in something with me.
Yeah. So for a female that's watching right now, you want to give them some advice. You know what I mean? Like what would you tell them to like do that they are stuck doing? Because I noticed that it's a lot of people that want to get successful, but it's more male that's dominating this space, right? Right. It's true. Women want to dominate, women want to do, but they don't do.
You know what? We just got to bet on ourselves. Yeah. The females are powerful. Yeah. I come from a space where almost every industry I've been in was male dominated. Almost every space that I've been in was male dominated. But if you don't, make your presence known in a room, nobody's going to know you. So, most of the males that I know, they respect me more than men they know. No, and, for sure. I'm going to get up there and talk my shit just like, the next guy. Yeah. But, I don't just talk. I actually show the results. So, I do try to bring the females on board with me as much as possible. But sometimes, that emotional side of the female kind of just keeps them stuck. If they leave with, that gut feeling like, hey, I could do this thing, I think, that'll put them in a better place.
Right. What's the wildest transformation, that you've seen in your company?
So I had this guy come to me recently. Right. He had like about 550 credit score. So, and it was a lot of things on his credit, but he didn't understand the profile. We got that cleaned up within 30 days, and he was because he wanted business funding. He was able to start his business funding journey within 30 days of coming into my program. So that was a great transformation because he did not expect it, and he had been to all these other credit gurus and all the people who say they do what we do, and he didn't get the results necessary, and they hold back on the information just so they can keep the client around a lot longer. Right. So that's the stuff that really keeps me going.
So as far as 2026, as far as growing in 2026, like what is your plans for growing in 2026?
So 2026, I just wanted to be a big year where, we're actually starting to bring on more mentees, actually starting to build our program a lot more. I took my hands off the gas a lot more and like being in the back office so I can actually take the time to really grow some mentees. And I think, your network is your net worth. Yeah, so sure. When I'm wanting to get out and network more and actually be in spaces like this, like sitting here with you having this conversation, because this is the growth. And so for 2026, it's all about growing and just creating more spaces where, we can shine and make ourselves have more exposure.
Yeah. So how do you keep clients from making dumb decisions when they get their funding?
So that's the crazy thing. You just educate them. Yeah. I try to really give them a checklist. What happens is, a lot of times if they haven't seen the type of money, if you've not seen, I have people come to me, they're like, hey, I only want like $5,000 worth of funding. Yeah. What are you going to do with $5,000, right? Yeah. But then I get them $50,000. And they want to go buy a bunch of nonsense that don't make sense. Right. I really try to just give them a strategy. And I deal in tax strategy a lot, so I kind of teach them the strategies that's going to get them the tax returns and the returns that they're looking for later on to write off that stuff from their businesses.
What is one thing that entrepreneurs should know about business funding or business credit?
So, I just want them to know that there are options just depending on where you are. And then there's plenty of ways to get there if you got the right game plan.
Yeah. So, man, I just want to know like one thing about, we all got mentees, right? Mm-hmm. And you know how we get those one mentee. What is a mentee that you would just not work with at all?
Man, I need energy. So that low energy,
they pay you, but they just either like overly nagging or overly can't get things right or like, is it a mentee that you just would not take their money?
Yeah. The laws of power are clear. Stay away from the unhappy and the unlucky. Yeah. The thing about it is when you're mentoring somebody, they got to be willing to just receive that information and take it and run with it. So a lot of people aren't really in that space. And so those are the mentees I stay away from because they bring my energy down. Yeah. So, I want to have, high energy mentees so that way, we're not sitting here fighting with you about what's the next thing to do, right?
Because, like, you got to think, it's mentees out here that you will pay, they will pay you. And when they pay you, they will expect results the next day. Without completing the steps, without doing anything, without, like, nothing. They just, I paid. When am I going to see results? I'm ready right now. Yeah. And life don't work like that.
When you put that work in.
You have to do the steps. You have to complete the mission. You got to do everything. And then when they see, then they happy. But at the same time, there are mentees I like to stay away from. I don't like the next day mentees, like want to get it right now as soon as you pay. This is not something that you just buy and your life is just successful as soon as you buy it. You still have to put in the work. Right. You know what I mean? That's the thing that most mentees don't understand is if you join somebody's mentorship program, you got to put in the work. And as a mentor, y'all mentors definitely have to lock in with y'all mentees and actually, you know what I mean? Don't act bougie, don't act big-headed, don't act, you know what I mean? Like really, you have to be on the same energy cycle, man, when it comes to this, though. But, yeah, I definitely had to ask you about that. So what is your ideal mentee? Like like your favorite type of mentee you just like? Somebody that listen a lot, somebody that's, you know what I mean? Like,
I just like those mentees that's gonna run the plays.
Okay.
If I get you to play and you run it, you gonna definitely see success. I've been coachable. Like I'm used to being in environments where, you know, I gotta be coachable. So I need those coachable mentees that's like, hey coach, what's the play? I'm gonna run it right now.
Yeah.
So you know, those are the type of mentees that you're gonna get the most out of. They're gonna grow. You're gonna grow. You know, they're gonna make money. What am I gonna do with a mentee that asks me a million questions but don't got a million results?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do your company support, you know, the clients after they get funded?
So we keep a record of all the funding clients, you know, how much we get them funded, and we give them that game plan like I explained earlier.
Yeah.
We want them to understand, you know, the full process of once you get the funding, what to do with the funding, how to make sure. Because let's say we get somebody a no interest credit card or no interest line of credit or whatever the case may be. They now have it, but what's your plan? So we create a plan before they start using that funding, and then for 6 months they can call us, they can follow up with us, and you know, just get any guidance and any help with that. So that's what sets us apart.
How do you keep things top notch at Top Notch Funding?
Hey, listen, they call me Vita Top Notch. So
Okay.
The thing about it is, I treat everybody like family.
Yeah.
Like, you can always call me. You can always, a lot of times, you know, I get DMs from my clients, or I get a regular text message. A lot of them become more like family. I invested with quite a few of the people that has done business with me.
Oh, that's fire.
And so the reality is, you know, I try to just keep it like a family environment where they always feel comfortable to ask the questions that they need answers to.
All right. So what's the first step that they should take with working with your company?
So the first step is just locking in and going with the plan. So every client, every customer, every mentee, anybody a part of Top Notch, they're gonna get a plan. We're gonna set up a plan for every person, because every person's story is gonna be different. Every person's approach is gonna be different. So if you follow that plan and you stay connected to the source, you know, you're gonna get exactly where you want to go, probably even better.
So what was the highest credit score, you know, when you met a mentee? What was their highest credit score y'all helped them get to?
My highest about 780.
Okay.
Yeah, about 780. I had a mentee. They had decent credit. They had like 20K card.
Damn.
But they just didn't do anything with it. They had no clue what to do with it. They didn't even use it. It's at about a $40,000 card now.
Yeah.
But it started at like a 20, so I just kind of showed them how to use it. They started leveraging, they started building some houses and things like that, and buying materials, using it, paying it off as soon as they finish the house. So now, you know, that credit card is a real source. So now when they spend $5,000, they don't feel crazy. It don't drop their credit utilization crazy.
So usually when, let's say somebody got a low credit score, y'all have fixed the credit, and then what y'all add trade lines, primaries, how that work?
Yeah, so basically, if they have a low score, we're gonna fix the credit up. We're gonna make sure they don't have no derogatories. You know, that the ideal credit client is gonna be, for funding, you're gonna want them to have a 680 credit score with a little to no inquiries, low utilization, and about 7 years history. So we're gonna make sure we get their credit aligned for that space.
But how do you handle clients that ain't ready to put in the work?
Sometimes I don't. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know, everybody can't be your client.
Exactly.
You know, nothing out here is free. Yeah. You know, I know people who paid multiple credit gurus or credit people to do their credit or help them to get funding. And so, you know, with those types of clients, sometimes you gotta, you know, just pass on that service. And when they're ready, they can come back at any time.
What's your next big move?
The next big move, I'm tied into, my husband works with New York City Transit, and so I'm tied into that space. But I think what happens is a lot of people I know make, you know, $100,000, $150,000, but there's not enough education behind understanding what to do with the money. You know, we get stuck in thinking that making $100,000 is you know, successful. Yeah. When in reality, if you had the proper education, one, with your credit, two, with how to actually position yourself when you make that type of money, how to use the tax strategies and tax codes to actually help you, you know, take care of those things, you know, you'd be in a different space. So I'm trying to get into some of those spaces, like like for nurses, for like correction officers, for like, you know, transit. And I'm using New York City because I got a lot of people in those areas, and actually give them that financial literacy that, you know, now they got investment properties, they actually moving. So I'm creating a space to where we can just kind of get into some of those spaces and teach, you know, teach our people.
What's the most money you made in a month doing what you do?
About 120,000. Yeah,
Okay.
right at about 120,000. December that passed.
And y'all just keep scaling, huh?
Yeah, we scaling because the reality is if you can touch that many people at Christmas time.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
The reality was when you think about it, you talking to people and you telling them, hey, you know, don't not pay the credit card because you want to buy your kids stuff for Christmas. How about let's build your credit. Let's build up your profile. Let's get you a business started. Let's get you in a proper position. So next year, 2026, next Christmas, you don't have to think about which bill I'm not going to pay to give my kids this Christmas gift or whatever it is.
So for people who watching right now that feel like, okay, I want to, you know, get funding and stuff like that, but I don't want to be in debt. You ever hear that? They'd be like,
yeah,
I ain't finna get I'm gonna just be in debt and I can't pay that back. You know, negative thinking. What you got to say to those people?
I mean, leveraging credit is the way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
You spend your cash money, then it's gone. Once you spend that, it's gone. That's what credit is for. Is to the debt you can write off.
So they feel like that. They feel like if you get the loan or you go get the credit card, they're too broke to pay it back, so they don't want to get it. You know what I mean?
That's because the choice is to stay broke. What about build a business? How about have a business? You know, all you have to do is plan to have something that's going to generate more money once you do it.
So that's why they have to come pay you so that you can give them the game on what to do when they get the money, since they don't know what to do with the money. Oh, you have access to 200, 300,000? Go get with you a mentor. So the mentor can show you what to do with the money, help you start a business, help you go get more credit, and everybody around you can make money as well.
Right.
Because we all got friends, we all got family members.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people be like, I look at it like this. If I'm in the house and everybody got low credit scores, right, it's a possibility that I can raise everybody's credit scores in the house, right? So, boom. What I want to do is I want to put a trade line on this person. First, we need to clean everybody's credit. Even if I got to take my money, I'm going to clean all 6 of y'all credits.
Right.
But y'all need to be on the same mindset as me. So we're going to clean everybody's credit. After we clean everybody's credit, we're going to add trade lines. After we add trade lines, we might add a few primaries. Now it's time to go get funding.
Absolutely.
Now it's time to take these steps of what we need to do. Maybe the Navy Federal plays. Maybe, go open up the secure credit card here. Go open up. But we have to do all these steps so that the whole house can now be fundable now. You know what I mean?
Right.
See, a lot of people, they don't care to do it. They just study. Look, they getting money here and there, and they getting quick this and doing that. It's a gold mine around everybody, but their mindset be so low because they're thinking about everything else but the bigger picture. The reason why people don't win is because they don't think about the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I always tell people it get greater later. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So the reason why I'm successful is because I thought about in 2020, I seen my life where I'm at now. And you know what I mean? People like, so I work, when I work, I like panic work. I work so hard to the point where like, so this is what I want to let people know. Like, it's hard for somebody who never made millions to understand what you have to do to make millions.
Right.
So for instance, right, let's say if me and Reef, we sitting on the phone, right, and I'm grinding. Reef might start strolling Instagram, might start doing this, might start doing that. And he's wondering why I'm overly posting and overly doing this because I'm chasing that dopamine because I felt myself making 10 million.
Right.
Now, if he never made 10 million, he don't really care because he don't understand that this is what you have to do continuously to make 10 million. This is what people don't really understand. If you want to get on, you have to consistently post, consistently do things, consistently, because guess what? It's a lot of people watching you, and it's like you're steady lighting the fire, and then the fire gonna start finally light.
Right.
And once it finally light, everything just takes off.
Absolutely.
It could be one day, it could take 2 years, but if it's consistent. Now, basically, we put me and somebody else side by side. I'm going to take off faster. This person will still be here because they don't understand the consistency power of getting successful.
Right.
But it takes consistent. You know, I got to this level being very consistent. You know what I mean? Doing things like, for instance, if somebody work a job for 8 hours, right? The same job that they work for 8 hours, they can spend 8 hours building a platform every day to actually see hundreds of millions of dollars. But would they spend 8 hours of doing that? Probably not.
Right.
They probably gonna spend a few hours talking to a girl. They're gonna probably spend a few hours doing this, a few hours thinking about that, a few hours thinking about habits and all types of different stuff. That's why you won't never see them successful. But you will see a person who you go to a company, right, and all that person that has billions of dollars thinking about is success. Right. And you like, damn, you work so hard and you got so much money. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's because they're in the dopamine of chasing those billions and those trillions and those millions of dollars.
Right.
Now, I might not have the same push he has because he's on that level for a reason, because how he thinks, how he's disciplined, because discipline is a key to everything. You know what I mean? And that's just that's life. That's how life is, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely the mindset of that discipline and that grind.
Yeah.
And you know, most people who don't see, a lot of people won't see it that way.
Yeah.
You know, I got a bunch of friends that like, oh, you work too hard. I'm like, I mean, and I make more money. I make more money than all of them. Exactly. But the reality is, like, I work hard because I want more of what I got.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Okay, if I can make $1 million, I want 2. If I can make 2, I want 10, right?
Yeah.
And so the reality is, if you stuck and you stagnant, you're going to stay exactly where you are.
And another thing too is just to believe in. So for instance, let's say you on a podcast right now, if you believe and you do everything you could in your power to make sure that this is the #1 podcast in the world,
absolutely,
to the whole world, it's possible to do it. It's definitely going to take some steps. It's definitely going to take things that you have to do, but it's worth it, because if the whole world sees, the whole world listens.
Right.
The whole world taps in. You know what I mean? So I always tell people, like, it's a way you have to move when you move to actually be successful. It's not just the laid back thing and come in laid back. No, somebody is up while you sleeping and getting sleepy and chilling. Somebody is working hard as hell trying to make. They done made $1 million in one day. They trying to make $5 million.
Right.
And you like, damn. So if you put yourself around that person, you should learn from that person. Like, damn, they just made $1 million in one day. I need to make $1 million in one day.
Right.
Not just sitting and watch like, oh wow, they made $5 million. No, you got to be going harder and harder. Okay, let's say if somebody that's major, like Jay-Z or somebody, let me attach my name to them, I'm going to guarantee you I make $100 million. You know why? Because I understand the power of attaching myself to somebody.
Right.
Now, you know what I would do? The very first thing, right? If they give me the opportunity, I'm going to help Jay-Z make at least $50 million.
Absolutely.
I'm not even going to try to use his name, because I understand how that works. You know what I mean? I understand the whole visual. I'm going to make him $50 million. So I'm going to see after I make him $50 million how he's going to treat me after I made him $50 million.
Right.
So if I help him make $50 million and if he give me 5, cool. You know, if he give me whatever, and then he put me in position after I help him make the money, then I'm going to do as much as I can to make myself an asset in his company. And then, you know, I'm going to prove and show myself that I'm a great asset. I'm very disciplined. I don't got no flaws. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because when you're coming into somebody's, you know, opportunity, you have to be, you know, that person that is needed. If you make yourself needed in a situation, guess what happens? It's an easy blow up.
Right. It's true. So it's all about positioning yourself around the people who want the same things you want.
Yeah.
Or who have the things that you want, right?
Yeah.
So I stopped, you know, trying to convince my friends and my family to see my way.
Yeah, no.
You know, I stopped trying. I made more money with strangers than I ever did with the people who you know, who know me, who watch me grind. In fact, they gonna complain. I've had falling outs with people because they say I work too hard and I don't have time. But meanwhile, those are the same people who are gonna ask me for something, right? Yeah. So, you know, one of us have to be in position. Somebody has to be in position, and you know, I was the chosen one. Yeah. So all the people who want to ride with me, I'm always with it. I'm gonna teach. I'm gonna help. I'm gonna give you as much access, and then, you know, I'm not gonna waste my time though.
Yeah, for sure.
So we in that space where, you know, if you in the right rooms, I'm sitting in the room right here. You know, this room right here is millions for me.
Yeah,
if I play this the right way.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people wouldn't even bet on this. A lot of people not gonna come up here and have this conversation with you because they like, well, how much I gotta pay, what I gotta do. Listen, I bet on me every day. Every day. Every day I wake up, I bet on me. There's a lot of people who gonna listen to what I gotta say. And that's not necessarily the people that's close to me, but there's people who gonna sit down, my mentees, they gonna sit down and go anything I tell them to do, they're gonna run those plays. I'll tell them, hey, we gonna sit up here and we gonna have this go on this podcast with Bandman Kevo, and they coming because the reality is they see me actually take those steps and actually have success.
For sure. So where can they find you, you know what I'm saying, on social media and like your sites and stuff like that?
So my main space is going to be funded by Top Notch on Instagram.
Okay.
And Facebook is Top Notch Pros. And those are pretty much the main ones. Yeah. We expanding though. This year we're going to get on some TikToks and do some TikTok and
you definitely got to have all social media platforms because, man, like it's like just like Instagram, TikTok is taking over, you know what I mean, a lot. And then your algorithm will reach probably more, you know what I'm saying, the same videos that went viral on Instagram. Right. If you post them on TikTok, they're going viral. Yeah, I'm definitely you know, amping it up more on the social media. For sure, man. You know, Famous and Wealthy podcast, man. Make sure y'all DM her, tap in with her, you know what I'm saying. Get in that mentorship program and, you know, take y'all levels to the next level, you know what I mean? It's 2026, man. It's time to start playing games. It's time to get up and get it going. Definitely. You dig?